You just mentioned Marlowe and the Jew of
Mhm.
Malta. Malta. Who was Marlowe? What was the Jew of Malta about? And is there a stronger connection between the Jew of Malta and Shakespeare than Lopez and Shakespeare?
To sort of answer the last bit first, I think yes, definitely. Christopher Marlowe is a playwright and spy and poet who is born in Canterbury in Kent, so southeast of London, very slightly earlier than Shakespeare. They're of an age and in some ways from quite similar backgrounds. They've both got very enterprising men of many business, local sort of area man marries well fathers. But Marlowe gets a scholarship to what we would call a public school, but a good private school. He goes on to Cambridge. He winds up in London. Shakespeare is from a much more kind of middle class rural background. Both families go through financial difficulties. He doesn't go to university. He also winds up in London. And Shakespeare, I think, kept quite a close eye on Marlowe and was sort of fascinated by him. One of the things Shakespeare does really early in his career is during a time when the theatres are shut due to the plague, he writes two long classical narrative poems, kind of at the same time as Marlowe is doing this. Marlowe and Shakespeare may have collaborated in a couple of early plays, but unlike Shakespeare, Marlowe comes to a very, very sticky end as a young man. He is betrayed by a fellow playwright, Thomas Kyd, under torture, and it's alleged that he's expressed some blasphemous and therefore illegal religious opinions. We don't know if this is true, but Kyd alleges that Marlowe said essentially that Jesus was gay, had a gay relationship with St. John, that the Virgin Mary was sort of the opposite of a virgin, and that he says various insulting things about the Church of England. And the Privy Council summons him, and then a few days later, he dies in a brawl in a house in Deptford, which is along the Thames. Sometimes it's called a tavern. It's not really a tavern, but he's killed in a scuffle with several men, a couple of whom are members of the Elizabethan spying underworld. So that's Marlowe. And so this is a really scandalous and controversial death. But what's interesting is that despite this, lots of playwrights rush to memorialize Marlowe at the time when you think you'd be like, I've never met Marlowe. I don't know the man, nothing to see here. And even Shakespeare, who as a character tends to keep his hands really clean, tends to stay out of literary disputes. He doesn't tend to commit himself in print in the way some of his colleagues do. He memorializes Marlowe by quoting him in a play called As You Like It. Lots of people have heard the phrase, whoever loved but loved not at first sight. And they tend to think it's Shakespeare. And it is Shakespeare in the sense it appears in As You Like It, but it's a quotation from Marlowe. The other thing that Marlowe really does, which influences Shakespeare, is he popularizes the use of a line called, a style called iambic pentameter. And that's a line of verse which in rhythm goes di-dum, 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 di-dum. And Marlowe invents that kind of sound in English drama, and Shakespeare loves it, uses it a lot. So Shakespeare's influenced by Marlowe in all sorts of areas of his career. And one of the plays Marlowe writes, he doesn't write that many because he dies, is The Jew of Malta. And it's the tale of a villainous but extremely charismatic Machiavellian Maltese Jew called Barabbas and his dealings, which involve a lot of murder until he finally gets his comeuppance, with competing Christian and Muslim political factions that are trying to take over Malta at the time. And as I said, Barabbas is compelling, charismatic, unscrupulous, violent, terrible. He is both an anti-Semitic portrayal and a really interesting theatrical character to play. And as in The Merchant of Venice, one of the plots, which is in both plays, is that Barabbas and Shylock both have apparently very beautiful daughters who fall in love with, and in Jessica, Shylock's daughter's case, marry Christian men, and they are both ultimately overcome and defeated by the Christian characters in the play. I think Shakespeare was probably more interested in Marlowe than he was in Lopez.